Okay, so hi everyone. This is Gateway RC Day 55. Okay. What most of you have done, right? You have not made a certain, you have not taken certain lessons from the last few RCs that have been uploaded, right? And what has been a bit different in this RC is that the this is something that the author is telling us about, right? So this needs to be taken care of. Okay, this needs to be scrutinized quite properly, right? How the world uses energy is a hot topic for a warming planet. Okay, whatever that has been given from the European Union to China, economies are vowing to reduce their energy intensity and the help of technology and innovations. Yet, despite these promises, consumer for energy. So he would go through this structure only, right? We would check if he goes through this structure only. Most probably he would go through this structure only. To put it bluntly, right? He is saying that only, right? From 1970s to till now, there was a certain that there was a certainty that the fossil fuels are limited, right? Till here also. Now technology-driven upheaval has taken place, right? Wind and solar energy. Now it comes to wind and solar energy, which are not, which won't be able to do that, right? Take the place of the fossil fuels based on energy vision, based on fossil fuels. Now all these factors has been taken, right? At this moment, you should have taken into account whatever you had read, right? These all factors help us explain why fossil fuels, which currently meet more than 80%, will remain the backbone of global production of the foreseeable future. Now he has come to what the question, the rhetorical question that was produced here, introduced here, right? Now, okay, this may not come as welcome news, okay, those question, and he goes through that till the end. Now you would know how to do the first question. Okay, in view of the world global energy provider. Now let us see. This was an easy paragraph, sorry, passage, but many of you have made mistakes, right? Many of you had got 12, 15, outrightly. 18 marks was an easy, right? 18 marks was an easy score in this answer, right? Which of the following best describes what the passage is trying to do? So what is the passage trying to do? That is primary purpose of the passage. Okay. In view of the world's greatest energy needs, the passage cautions. The passage doesn't caution us, right? This is opposite to what the author was saying. Energy policy makers ought to take account of the fact that despite fears of shortages and threats to population, we have entered an era of fossil fuel abundance that shows no signs of abating. That is what he has said all through the passage and according to the structure of the first paragraph. So I would take this into consideration for now. Right, let us take this into consideration. Okay, just a minute. Let us take this into consideration. Okay. Okay. While vowing to reduce their energy intensity with the help of technological innovations, the energy policy makers must realize the prevalence of wrong ideas. While vowing to reduce their energy intensity with the help of technological innovations, okay, the energy policy maker must realize the prevalence of wrong ideas. What what is this prevalence of wrong idea? That is not what the author was talking about. So it won't be the answer, right? Prevalence of wrong idea. He was talking about something about some narratives, okay, some uh, propaganda that is being. Just a minute, let me check. Some propaganda was there. Okay. Mm, questionable models. Okay, culprit is storyline, right? Storyline. He was taking storyline, right? So storyline culprit has been given. That won't be the answer. Okay, that won't be the answer. Let me see. Okay, that would be the answer. So prevalence of wrong idea was not right. Storyline was taken into consideration, and that was also not the main idea of the passage. Right, that was not the main idea of the passage. It was all about, if you look at the passage from start to end, you would realize that it was all about what, there were fears of shortages that has been talked about in first first 3 to 4 passages after the first paragraph. Sorry, paragraphs after the first paragraph. We have entered an era of fossil fuel abundance that shows no sign of abating. Now, policymakers ought to realize, the first thing to notice here is that it has been written as ought to, right? Realize that rapid advances in technology in the field of exploration and the ability to extract in new places will soon deplete the world. This is altogether opposite to the idea. So it was an easy one if you look at the option B, right? This is an easy one. Now let us move to the next question. The second one. What is the false narrative that author mentions in the second paragraph? As you might have seen in last few, right? As you might have seen in last few passages, right? The false narrative that the author mentions in the second paragraph. The false narrative that has been mentioned here is about, okay, false narrative, not scarce resources, right? Against false narrative, not scarce resources. That is what the false narrative should, we should take, right? That is where we should take some cue about what the false narrative is, right? So what is the false narrative that the author mentions in the second paragraph? The prediction that world would run out of oil by 2020. That is what we should go towards. Some of you might have gone through to the option D, right? That is not the answer. The shifting of energy anxiety that stemmed from fear of shortages to anxiety over pollution. That was not at all relevant to the main idea, right? Energy anxiety, that anxiety was not there, right? Some people had anxiety, not all, right? It is general, as well as too far from what we are, the contextual meaning that we are getting out of whatever we read, right? So second one would not be, uh, second one, for second one, B option would be the correct one, right? Okay. Now let us move to the third one. All of the following are said to have reduced the dependence on oil, especially from any particular geopolitical area extent. Okay, so the most important part is to notice here, on the basis of what we have learned, right? Especially from particular geopolitical area. So that has been given somewhere, right? That has been given somewhere. So let us go to that part. Let us go to that part. Okay, it was this part. Yeah, by adopting this nonsense dogma, dilute over, okay, whatever, there has been given, right? Okay, let us see. So, geopolitical area has to be taken into account, right? Technological improvement in exploration methods, okay, that has introduced the Shell Oil Company of US. That won't be the answer, right? That won't be the answer. Extraction of hydrocarbons in new places around the globe, in the US, for example. The preference of energy by fuel transporter. We had read in the passage of where Iran has been mentioned that LNG is being preferred by the streamline owners, right? LNG is more purer. So due to that, Iran's uh, what the oil supply of Iran took a back seat in the world economy, right? If you have read about OPEC nations, you should. If you haven't, you would know that, right? Discovery of energy, efficient renewable energy resources is nowhere related to the particular geopolitical area. So this was an easy question. If you know that, you would have got to the right answer. Now let us move to the next one. Okay. Fourth, according to the writer, the dependence on fossil fuels for meeting world's energy need is unlikely to change in the near future for all those reasons except. Okay. Cannot compete. Yes. Let us see the first option. A major part of the world's energy need is for heating, which is currently met by gas and oil. Okay. Yes, that is correct. Wind and solar energy cannot compete with traditional sources of electrical generation. Okay, that is correct. Okay. Fossil fuels currently meet more than 80%. That has been given in the European Union exam. Right. Now, the paragraph in which he mentions European Union. Nothing about legislation has been said here. Right. The legislation, whether the legislation would be supporting, right, support renewable production is unlikely to succeed. Whether it is likely or unlikely to succeed, right? Unlikely or likely to succeed has not been the question in the passage. That is an out of scope question, right? That is an out of scope question. That is an out of scope context. Sorry, context, right? That is an out of scope context. So why have we taken this? This is a total distortion from whatever the has been mentioned in the passage, right? So this won't be the answer. Now let us move to the next one. Fifth one. It can be inferred from the passage that one of the fallouts of the unfounded fears about scarce oil reserves is that. It can be inferred from the passage that one of the fallouts of the unfounded fears about scarce oil reserves is that. Okay, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? Okay, now let us. It can be inferred from the passage that one of the fallouts. Always remember that in inferred question, you do not need to choose what has been mentioned in the passage. So let us see what we can do. Authoritarian leaders could not use oil as geopolitical weapon. They have used, right, for a certain period of time. They have used the geopolitical, that whatever they did right, as a geopolitical weapon, right. It was only after the emergence of shell oil in America that the geopolitical weapon was not used again. Israel, oil-rich countries could oppose the West in its support to Israel. That can be taken into account, but we would keep it for now, right? While eliminating the other options. The US started producing the C option. The US started producing more oil than Iran and Iraq combined. Okay, that has been outrightly mentioned in the passage, so it cannot be the inference. Led to rapid advances in technology in the field of exploration and the ability to extract hydrocarbons in new places. Okay, led to rapid advances in technology in the field of exploration and the ability to extract hydrocarbons in new places. No, right? We do not know that it led to rapid advances in technology. There might have been rapid advances in technology by mistake or due to other reasons also, right? So this, the second one, is the only thing that we can infer, right? The oil-rich countries could oppose the West in its support to Israel, in its support to Israel, right? Now it has been written in the passage, right? That oil-supported countries where it has been written, I would take you to that position so that you can understand the inference question pretty easily, right? Here before 1970, by adopting this nonsense dogma, right? Developed countries enabled resource-rich authoritarian leaders like enabled, right? Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini in Iran to use their oil reserves as tools to oppose the West. Why? Tools to oppose the West, particularly its support for Israel. So we can say that in we can infer from this, right? These are all the leaders of the Middle East. So Middle East or the Africa, right? Libya. So what can we get from this? that fifth one. Okay, oil-rich countries could oppose the West in its supposed to Israel because they had the petrol, right? Now let us move to the sixth one. Okay. Sixth one, how the world uses energy is a hot topic for warming planet. The first sentence of the passage serves which of the following purpose in the essay? If you have done the first question right correctly, then you would be able to do it correctly. It leads to the reader to a better understanding of hot topic of energy misuse and the warming of planet. The reader to better understanding of hot topic of energy. No, right? The whole context to talk about that was that even if the hot topic has been introduced, the mm, use of the fossil fuels doesn't seem to affect it, right? As we had seen in the first question. So it captures the writer's thesis that while potential shortages and threats from pollution from okay hot topic has been used. So these are the hot topics. These were the hot topics and are the hot topics. The demand for fossil fuels shows no signs of waiting. We would keep this option for now. Now let us move to the C option. It introduces the readers or to the ideas about to be presented in the passage that have to do with the effective use of energy. It introduces the reader to the ideas about to be presented in the passage that have to be do with effective use of energy. Effective use of energy was not talked about in the passage. It was just about that since there were fears about the okay, there were fears about and which has led to what abundance of now since there is an abundance there is a pollution angle and even if the pollution angle is present, the world is not seeing an abandonment in the near future. So that is not the answer, right? It introduces the reader to the ideas about to be presented in the passage that have to do with effective use of energy. That is too narrow to discuss about here, right? There were two agendas that were talked about by the author. Right, D option. Let us see the D option. It makes a sarcastic stress on the. There was no point of sarcasm in this. Right, so this won't be the answer. So we are left with only one option, that is B. Right. I hope most of you did it correctly. Okay. I won't be explaining the VA part. Okay. If you need the VA part also, let me know from the next time.